Oh, I didn't see the last name.
Morning.
Oh, it's really.
We're about ready to get this started.
That's awesome.
Morning.
What's the art museum want like?
Huh?
What's the art museum want? Oh, dude, they're just wishing.
It's time to call this order. I was looking at that clock. It's like a minute slow. All right. Good morning, everyone. We will call today's meeting to order. Before we get into public comments, I wanted to mention that we have also received public comments via our email address regarding this month Burnett Woods, the Burnett Woods Dog Park, and the skate park. This morning, we have one speaker today, and I apologize, I can't read the last name, but the first name is Kaylee. Kaylee, come on up. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Kaylee Baker. I was a student at UC for environmental sciences, and Burnett Woods was a cultural hub for many of us. This large swath of green space serves to provide densely forested green space, which is a rare find in the city. Burnett can be used by anyone for any purpose, including people with dogs. It is a mixed use space. Nothing is prohibiting people already who have dogs from going there and using it. Destroying the patch of woods for single-use space would be a travesty. There is no money or personnel to keep up with already mounting dog poop that is already occurring at other dog parks. The budget for those people, they're struggling to keep up the maintenance already. So adding another dog park to that rotation is just a bad idea. There is now no ADA access, which was a big deal for why you guys pushed this park. Now there's none of that. The only people who seem to want this dog park are developers, several of whom sit on this board right now. The job of this board is to listen to the needs of the community, and the community does not feel like you guys have really taken into account any of the concerns that need to go into creating a park. So I hope that you guys will actually listen to the public comments and take that down, because none of the community wants this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have the December 19th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, we have to do a roll call. I'm sorry.
President North,
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Castellini,
Yes.
Commissioner McCallum,
Yes.
Commissioner Nye.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
And then I believe next up, is there any discussion? Do we need to have any discussion on the appointment of Walter Lynch to the Park Board Investment Committee?
Not unless someone would like to give a quick overview of them, but
Great. Let's see. Would you like to do that, John? Give a quick overview.
I'd be delighted to. I was pleased to be introduced to Wally and have his background in private enterprise, as well as previous in that in securities and finance, is a welcome rounding out to the investment committee. It is we're not done. We'd like to add some additional voices. So if there are any members of the community or board who have thoughts of folks who could contribute in an informed way in that space, we would very much welcome to hear it. So Wally is, I've met with him on a couple of occasions, and he is anxious to dive in, a longtime Cincinnatian and a fan of our parks. So we appreciate him grabbing the rope for this lift.
Terrific. Well, hopefully it will not be the last time that Wally is thanked for his public service, but let it be the first. I'm excited to see that he would like to volunteer for this role. And it looks like you'll have a great member joining you on that committee. Would that be a motion to appoint him to the?
I would move for the appointment of Wally Lynch to the investment committee of Cincinnati Parks.
Okay. And I think do we take a roll call? Great.
Second.
President North,
Yes.
Vice President Lee.
Yes.
Commissioner Castellini.
Yes.
Commissioner McCallum,
Yes.
President Nye.
Yes.
Terrific. All right, we're up with Crystal. Crystal, tell us about the volunteer program.
Try. Morning, happy new year. So I'm delighted to talk with you guys about one of my favorite subjects today, as our volunteers. Just a real brief overview on program. This is information pulled from the fiscal year 24. Information that was included in our annual report. Okay, so here we go. Sorry. I don't know if it's, will you do the next slide if the clicker is not working? All right. So the program for 2024 by the numbers, we had a little over 3,700 volunteers, which totaled 53,400 hours. And so that's an estimated dollar value added to our park system of $1.6 million. As you know, volunteers are integral to just about every part of what we do to deliver services and enhance and improve our parks. So the next slide is an overview of the categories and sort of like just a visual of how, where the bulk of hours, and there's a lot of there's obviously overlap because with events and activation, conservation, there's CPACs are like very involved in all of those. This is kind of like a breakout of, give you an idea. So the CPAC service and our leadership's also in there, like that many hours that you all dedicate to helping us to guide our work. Planning, organizing, executing events, mobilizing community volunteers and advocacy. The conservation is mostly work with the Department of Natural Resources, the Cincinnati Conservation Stewards, which has been a volunteer training program that we've worked with our partners at the Cincinnati Parks Foundation and the Civic Garden Center to bring training, education, and to our volunteer program. And that is specifically with the conservation land management team at the conservation sites. It also includes urban forestry, so invasive species control, and the deer program. The Hort Helper volunteers are the volunteers that work with our florists at Crone Conservatory, with crews in the parks. We have the Smale Gardening Group. They work weekly from like March through November with the team at Smale to help with like install thousands of bulbs, annuals, and maintain those gardens throughout the year. That's just one example. We have volunteers that work like that. Some organized groups, many individuals that kind of check in with our florists and our staff, our regional staff that work out to just enhance the floral displays in neighborhood parks throughout the city. And then at Crone too. Events and activation, we all know the work that Lou's team does and hand in hand with our CPACs and partners. That's large. A lot of the community events are organized and planned by our CPACs, and a lot of programming partnership with the foundation. Their wellness programming, the obliterators, all of those events and activation that kind of falls into that category. Crone, and then greeters, the butterfly show, holiday show. They have several, like a group of the Crone crafters, which will have a little peek of from following the holiday show, what they do. At the end, you get a little video teaser. At Explore Nature, all the public programmings that we do, and the summer camps as a bulk of the support that Explore Nature receives. We're shifting into, we're gonna, hopefully over the next year with our new leadership at Explore Nature, building out some programs, some roles
to help support the programming, to provide support to the naturalists and enhance and expand, add capacity to public programming at events with help of volunteers. Okay, next slide. So who are all the volunteers that do all of that work? So of the 3,700 volunteers, over 3,000 are one-time or occasional volunteers. That's our corporate events, our group events, college students, high school students. We participate in most of the national service events that align with our mission. So that's MLK Day of Service. There's about 6 or 7 throughout the year. National Public Lands Day, National Trails Day. Those are events that have a lot of visibility. They're pushed out on national platforms. And it's a great way to attract the attention of people who maybe haven't already volunteered in our parks, but and don't have time or aren't able to commit to volunteering long-term. But it gives them, the community, an opportunity to connect with nature in a way that they haven't maybe yet already, or just once or twice a year. And then also, like, obviously, you probably know about Mayor's Corporate Challenge, all of the corporate groups that come to us every throughout mainly spring and fall. Last year we had 57 groups that were a mix of corporation or school groups. That Andrew worked on my team, helps organize and execute those. That's mainly support for our regional, our operations crews and districts. So of that, we had 470 UC students. We had other college students as well, but we have a partnership with UC where I'm able to pull real specific data. We love the UC students. They bring enthusiasm and vibrancy to a lot of our projects. In the 285 youth volunteers, about 80 volunteers are our summer youth program, the CIT program. And then the others are volunteers that we have a growing number of teen volunteers that are serving at our conservation sites. And then groups, school groups that come and do projects with us. Okay, the next slide. Thank you. And so those are our one-time occasional volunteers, which is the bulk of that those large WOW numbers. But we have 548 volunteers this past year that have active accounts in our volunteer portal. They're ongoing long-term volunteers that serve throughout the year. Seasonally, for example, our hunters. They're obviously only volunteering from September through March. Except for the coordinators, the leaders of that program, they work with our lane manager throughout the year. But 548 volunteers that serve throughout the year, 159 new volunteers established accounts as long-term volunteers and logged hours this year. So we actually got close to 300 new volunteers, but a lot of times when new folks come on, they're with the best intentions, but a lot of people are interested in supporting parks, but 159 new volunteers this year, pretty exciting. 65% of our volunteers served more than 20 hours. And I think that's pretty amazing. We also have a small faction of volunteers that serve over 500 hours a year, which is incredible. And all amount of time that's given to us is valued and important, but we do have this like solid core of folks that go above and beyond. So it's amazing. And 96 youth volunteers that sort of stick with us throughout the year.
Could you define what a youth volunteer is?
A volunteer that's under 18, a minor.
Thank you.
Okay, our CPACs. For 2024, we had 36 CPACs, 2 new at McAvoy and Pyatt. And then for fiscal year 25, Lytle, we had established a volunteer or a CPAC. And they've jumped right in and have coordinating with Nick, the florist down there, regular corporate events, working with corporate groups and working in the park regularly throughout independently on their own time and on work days with Nick. It's been a great collaboration so far. In 2024, we brought back with the support and help with our friends at the foundation. We co-hosted with Cincinnati Parks Foundation, our quarterly meetings. And we've scheduled, and that went really well. It was very well received by our CPAC leaders. This was something that we, before COVID, we did pretty regularly. And then with COVID and things shifting, we've continued to meet with the CPACs, but not on a regular quarterly schedule. And they were thrilled to have us bring that back. And it's been pretty wonderful. So we have 4 meetings. January sort of kicks off the year planning events. The Parks Foundation provides information about the deadlines for the CPAC grant that volunteers get. And we try to have a focal theme for each event that's relevant to what the season is and what they need, what support we can give them to continue to support us and our parks. We had the Trust for Public Lands who came and spoke here. That group of folks reached out specifically they were interested in our structure for our CPACs. And they wanted to talk with some of our CPACs. So we were able to identify like a broad group of CPACs. We had the Friends of French Park. We met at French Park and they were able to tack on to one of the French Park events or go see the work that they've done in the trails there. APAC, MAFAC, the Forest Advisory, Mount Airy Forest Advisory Council, Ezra Charles, and I think that was it. And it was great. They had a roundtable discussion. They had lots of questions. Trust for Public Land had lots of questions about the kind of support they get from parks and from the city and our leadership. And then just down to the nitty gritty of organizing and mobilizing the community. So it was great. I thought it was a proud moment because it was like really last minute and I shot a message to all of the folks that was like less than a week and they were all like, yes, we'll do it. So it's just an example of how dedicated and committed they are to their cause and our parks. We're lucky. So more than 12,000 hours from CPAC members and volunteers supporting events, working hand in hand with conservation events, Lou's team with all of the community, the support that Lou's team gives, and the foundation to activate our parks and keep them safe and vibrant. And so that's what's more than 325 events. It's a lot of work. It's a lot. If you look at that and you think if we didn't have those leaders, what would be happening in our parks? I mean, we fill the gap somehow, but would it be to this level? So it's pretty incredible to me that we have that dedication from that folks. Okay. Recognition appreciation efforts is something we've really been focusing on. So one way that we do that is the quarterly meetings, giving our volunteers and our stakeholders and our leaders FaceTime, giving them updates. Jason and Jennifer have attended all of those, the quarterly events, and give them just an opportunity to provide updates and ask questions and interface with our leaders. It's been really wonderful. So that's been great. Social media posts throughout the year is a way that we try to recognize we have such a great social media presence. So it's wonderful. And I know that a lot of our, the groups like to be, highlighted. So we do that. We have our platform and then the volunteer has through our Facebook account, the Cincinnati Parks main account, we have a Facebook volunteer group page. Seasonal newsletter We're moving to bi-monthly this year is our goal. So we're gonna send that out on a bi-monthly basis. And that's a way to keep I feel like a big way to show appreciation to our volunteers is keeping them informed, asking them to come back, letting them know that their service is important. And just giving them ways to, if there's a survey that we are doing, like the Inwood Park survey went out in the last newsletter, a way for them to share their opinions with us. Volunteer highlights. So last year we did 4 highlights and then 8 total, 4 videos produced. So that's one thing that Andrew has really elevated our game in helping to tell the story to the community of how our volunteers serve and support our efforts. Those are all on our YouTube. We post them to our YouTube channel, and there are a lot of really cool, they're about 2 to 3 or 4 minutes long. So if you ever have an opportunity to check it out, I'd love for you all to see these videos if you haven't already seen some of them. And it's also an important way to document, the work that they're doing in tandem with our staff. And then so this year we included the volunteers had their own page in the annual report, which was really awesome. I was happy to see that. So just again, visibility of how the community values our parks and the amount that they give back. Volunteer appreciation party. We had a big old party in October, and that's every volunteer got a little goodie bag, which is we left at your spot. And it was really well received, I think. It was just very casual. We didn't have a program. We didn't have awards. It was just like show up. The foundation supported that and made it possible to have, we had food trucks. And empanada guy came with lots of great food. Lou's team showed up with their sound system and had a nice little soundtrack playlist going. So it was really wonderful. So we're going to plan to do that again this year. There are also other, Crone does a volunteer appreciation event or party for their specific volunteers. The Civic Garden Center this year held a volunteer appreciation party in the summer for all of our conservation volunteers. So there's other events as well, but this was like the big one. I wanted it to be like not exclusive to anyone, that anyone who volunteered more than 20 hours was invited to attend. And like the swag, apparel, supplies, equipment, getting them the tools they need is probably the biggest thing that they appreciate that we give for them. So that's another way that we are recognizing our volunteers. And the big thing for me, I think, is the training and education. About 5 years ago, we decided to invest in that type of efforts for retention and appreciation, and also to bring skilled volunteer levels to support our teams, to create more sustainable involvement. All of those 3,000 volunteers that come and give us 3 hours of really hard work, humping a wheelbarrow, to mulch a park is very important. But we also know that we got to a point in parks where that was the bulk of the focus of how volunteers supported us, and that taxes our teams because it's a lot to prepare for that. And training people over and over. So the idea is to focus on providing education and training so that we have a higher skill set of folks supporting our staff in a more sustainable way. And we've been able to really focus, the major focus with that has been through the Cincinnati Conservation Stewards program, and which is an award-winning program. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Oprah selected the CCS program as the #1 award for one of the environmental awards that they give each year. So the team's going to go up and accept that award at the conference this year. So that is hopefully where we'll be able to shift and continue that important work and that partnership. And because we know that there's a lot of invasive species and a lot of education goes into that. And it's been such a great model that we're gonna copy and paste with Explore Nature and helping build capacity for that team and working with the Hort staff, the florist out in the field to bring more sustainable support to them. It also, I think, shifts, they're able to build relationships with volunteers. It helps our staff feel appreciated, and they build and grow these relationships that make, that they look forward to. And they, rely on that good feeling of working with, having extra help, but recognizing that the community, this is how important their work is to the community, that they're there alongside of them helping. And that was the beautiful one pager that our Emily created for our annual report, which I'm sure you've seen. Wanted to share that. I was pretty excited about that. And the next page. And then this is an example of posts that we do on a regular basis. Sometimes they're shared to our main platform, and then we also like to share, we have all these CPACs that have really great social media followings, like Friends of French Park. So that's just another example of the way that we are showing, because I know that's important to, and this board has asked, like, what are we doing to show that we appreciate our volunteers? This is one way too. That is all I have. Oh, the video, there's a video. This is a brief video that Andrew pulled together. The last highlight that we did was for the holiday show. The Crone Crafters, I'm sure you're all aware of the tree and this 80-year-old tradition. So this group, the Crone Crafters, we have a great video. It's like 3 minutes long, but this is just a little brief video that Andrew created.
Started in 1933, and it was a small group of women who crafted ornaments and did other crafts for different events at Crone.
I joined the Crone Crafters in 2018. Earlier in 2017, when I was coming through as a visitor, I saw the sign that explained about the Crone Crafters, and it just really appealed to me. I like the challenge of using different natural materials, trying to come up with a really pretty ornament. It just keeps things fresh every year. And it's exciting to be part of something that has been around for so long. Seeing everything here and the ornaments on the trees and stuff, I hope I bring a little bit of joy or just amazement at what we can actually do, what everybody can actually do here. And come by and see us and let us explain to you how we make these original ornaments and how we do it, and how much fun it is. And we have a lot of people who really liked it and was coming back. So come see us and see what you can find here. And the kids will love it.
That tree is amazing.
Terrific.
Oh my gosh, it is. Or you could spend hours studying those ornaments.
Maybe we can highlight some board members. Put that on the list for the future.
This one right here.
No.
Thanks for your time and thanks for your support of our program and thanks for your service.
Okay, I have one question.
Okay.
How are you communicating with the Cincinnati Public Schools, specifically the high schools? There's a great need to involve these teenagers. And how are you working with the public schools?
Through Explore Nature. They do educational programming, but in high schools, I'm falling short. We have partnerships with Walnut Hills or our Walnut Woods program.
Yeah.
And I send out a recruitment blurb for the CIT program to partners and contacts I have within CPS about the CIT program. we have a partnership with Clark Montessori. It's sort of specific, like we have a partnership with CPS, but at a very organic, like schools that we know focus on service and reach out to us to organize group events. That's the extent of it.
Certainly an area that we could explore
Absolutely.
in many years.
Mhm.
Connected with activities beyond the classroom.
Yeah, so service learning, and most of what like with Clark, it's service learning opportunities. So there's an education component when they're coming to do the projects.
Food for thought, huh?
Yeah,
We also have the Green Tea program where we hire you each summer through Groundwork Ohio. We hire about 60 or 70 people to work alongside our crew. It isn't a volunteer program, but it's a career development program.
Well,
it's heard.
I think, the bottom line of what you said is our parks aren't what they are without the tremendous effort
Oh,
of these
incredible.
volunteers. So thank you for highlighting them and recognizing them and making these opportunities for them to engage with the parks for their personal benefit, but for the benefit of our residents and visitors.
I love it. I love my job.
Yeah.
That's evident.
Yeah.
Well, and just real quickly, I'd like to point out Crystal's tremendous service to parks. She started out with us just as a part-timer who filled in the volunteer role and just started taking on organizing volunteers. And over the years, she eventually became full-time. And then just this last year, we promoted her from volunteer coordinator to volunteer manager, which has a real kind of back of the house where you are in the city structure, but also is in recognition of how she's grown the program over the years. Last year, we had a beautiful page that said we had 46,000 hours of volunteers. And you're like, well, how could we ever beat that? 53,000 hours of volunteers this year. And it's just going to continue to grow. Part of that is it's fun to work in the parks, but a lot of that goes to Crystal. And so one of the things that with Rocky and Crystal, and I should say Rocky does a great job of kind of working on career paths and development paths for all of his team. But with Crystal, we were able to grow the volunteer program. And now we've got a coordinator, an existing staff member, but an existing staff member that part of their job at each one of our sections is to be the volunteer liaison to Crystal. So we've kind of created an infrastructure within parks that Crystal now manages. So instead of just managing the volunteers that show up, we're starting to put more structure to that and really trying to improve the experience, both for our employees, because sometimes, 30 people are here, do something with them isn't necessarily easy for them. But by giving them more structure, allowing more planning, and Crystal and Rocky have really done a great job of putting that together. And I'm really excited about Crystal's promotion and to see where the volunteer program is going to go in the coming years. So
The education part that you're doing is the most important.
And it's a heavy lift for our staff on the front end, but it's paying off. That's another thing before I don't want to take more time than I already have, but I want to add that they want to work side by side with our staff and do, acknowledge the important work that they do. And this is a lot for our staff to manage and coordinate and work with out there, and they rise to the occasion. And we have this tremendous program because when they're working with our staff makes it so enjoyable and so fulfilling that they come back. So because our parks are awesome, that people have that pride here in our city for our parks, but I think we wouldn't have that if we didn't have the staff that it's a great circle. It works really well. So
Got one last thing. This may already exist, but do you have anything that shows like what they're volunteering for, like a percentage is volunteering towards, like laying down mulch? They're volunteering towards, planting flowers, things of that nature.
So that's sort of broken down in the pie chart.
Okay.
But there's so much overlap.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that I've really been trying to improve over the last few years is the data. For many years ago, we would say that we had 7,000 volunteers a year, but it wasn't really 7,000. It was it was like the number of occurrences that volunteers would show up and we counted it as a volunteer. So like, as our numbers were inching up, the number of volunteers was kind of decreasing. And I think that was like concerning, just, but we're getting better with technology and just more coordination with staff and our groups getting better at tracking data. And that's one thing I'm gonna work on with like Matt DeBona and Clayton about like building out how to, I don't understand all of that, like dashboards on how to nail that down so that we have even, better way to tell the story.
I was only mentioning that just because it might be great to show like, hey, we need more help in this area than we do this area.
Absolutely, right. That's like on the pie chart, you might notice that Explore Nature, even though they work in the community and with the community, I would love to grow that little piece of the pie for them. So hopefully we'll be able to emulate and copy and paste what we've been able to do with the CCS program with our conservation sites to support and add capacity to our naturalists for programming. Great, thanks for the feedback and questions and for your service.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Follow that, Joel.
Good morning, commissioners.
Thanks.
Hope you all had some great holidays. I don't have any action items for you today. I just have a whole lot of updates, it seems like, over the holiday period.
Well, I do want to acknowledge something Jason and I discussed, which there haven't been a tremendous number of in-office work days since we last met. Between the holidays and all the snow days that we had, so. With that.
It's just a lot more of enacting everything that you already had action items on late last year. So I'll go pretty quick. If you have any questions, please stop me. I'm sure you read everything, but trying to give you updates on the information that's old at this. First one, Ludlow DNR headquarters, all items are complete except the 3-foot door, which is scheduled to come in this week. That should be done next week. We'll apply for certificate of occupancy and that'll be usable in the next 4 weeks from now. So that one's wrapping up and is complete. The Alt Park Valley Trail restoration, that project declared an emergency by purchasing. They agreed with our memo on that. And we met with the contractor before Christmas break. We met on December 20th to go through the pathway, how everybody's going to get to the site. They're just essentially waiting on the snow to melt and the trail to get a little bit drier. So we're not tearing stuff up going back there. Special thanks to our contractor on this one. We walked that with a 12-foot pole because that's what they told us the width of the low ground pressure equipment was going to be to try to not tear up the natural landscape through there. We were concerned. They then told us that it had to be a 15-foot wide piece of equipment. We did not want that. So they came back with something smaller, which means more trips for them at the same price, but less detriment to our trail system. So we greatly appreciate that. So thanks to Crystal for that as well, for helping with that effort, and Drew and his team. They're gonna get all the access ready, limb up, and make sure all of the equipment will fit and we have a good place to stage some of that material. So that project should start essentially in the next 2 weeks. And it's long overdue. Eden Park Art Museum Drive improvements are complete as of yesterday, and they took the stuff down. So that's a week and a half ahead of schedule. Thanks to DOTE, specifically Rich Pohana, who's retired now, and Chris Hammett, who is the project manager on that job, for making that easy on us and fixing some stuff along the way. So success of a project. Big one from yesterday, Smale Lot 23 enhancements. We had the pre-bid meeting on site yesterday. We were worried that no one would show because it was cold, and had lots of response. So all of the players that we hoped were there. So pre-bid went well. We expect bids in the next 2 weeks. We should be bringing you folks numbers next month to know what we're going to do with that project. Mount Airy bike skills, I think we're in the final stages of finalizing the contract, just from some insurance stuff and making sure all that's laid out correctly. We expect to get going on that project in the next month with American Bike Ramp to coordinate with our projects, which are the comfort station and the ADA pathway. Those are already moving in tandem. The design is essentially done of the pathway up to the comfort station, and we're getting ready to send out a package, not near the level of like Lidl comfort station, but a exploratory package with contractors to make sure we can bid the roof and all the interior finishes and all of those things. So we'll have those documents ready probably by March of this year, in coordination with all of that. Let's see, everybody's treehouse. We are not done with this one yet. We're meeting internally. The prices came back pretty high. We then had to go get structural drawings stamped such that if we decided not to have one contractor do that, we can have any contractor do that. That is complete. Now we're meeting internally with facilities and maintenance and our carpenter team to see which pieces of that scope they may be able to perform in-house, which will reduce the overall cost. We hope to have all that stuff figured out sometime in February and be back to Megan for the balance of the quote and be able to bring you all numbers accurately, hopefully less than $350,000. So a little bit of delay on our end, just trying to work some of that stuff in-house with our own capabilities and not go overboard on this, but we should be getting to the end of that very shortly. Let's see, a couple more stored. Updates on Centon and Biochar, the operations center. And talking with legal and talking with all of the city departments necessary, we are under the understanding that the next review phase of this is not a coordinated report, but a preliminary development hearing. So we have charged KZF with moving forward, incorporating biochar into the Centon campus and getting those to the place where we can turn that in for pre-development hearing. That has all happened in the past couple of weeks. So meeting with KZF to get back on their schedule, incorporating all that into one project. We think hopefully all of the big things have been vetted to the point where we're not going to have any surprises and bringing that to you guys, but still working through the timeline on when we'll have design development document level plans. We hope that's in the next 3 months with final construction documents, hopefully ready by summer, such that we can bid that and get rolling on that whole site. So lots of movement on that one this time. Let's see, Inwood Park, there's some stuff in the report about some soil investigation that has been held up due to the weather, but we expect it to happen here in the next few weeks. So ongoing due diligence such that we can properly put out an RFP for the remainder of the design services for that and start to get community engagement and input going for Inwood. Let's see, Burnett Woods. The rest of the problems I have are poop problems. I'm sorry. Burnett Woods bandstand was one of our huge focuses. We found out, as you all heard last month, that the pipes in the ground are not feasible. Friday, I will have numbers on a better fix for this anyway. The old piping that was down, essentially down the valley, is bad, all broken up, and that's where this was going. We can tie in sooner because there's a pipe upstream that's also a combined sewer already, so we're not changing any discharge, but essentially we'll have to lay about 100 feet of pipe potentially under that little road and put in a new structure to catch that and be able to drain all that pipe. We expect that to be done before Andy would open those for the spring anyway. The other three that were in question when it comes to sanitary sewer services and our comfort stations are the Doris Day Dog Park, the McFarland Comfort Station, and also in Burnett Woods, the Millionaires Club. The Millionaires Club was one that I hadn't talked really about turning into a septic system, but I really want to do that now as in response, but also we've been talking about this for months with MSD, doing a whole lot more to curtail combined sewer overflows in that valley or do something about all of that. Allowing us to do another septic tank for the Millionaires Club takes a whole line from combined sewer to just storm sewer. And then that can be dealt with a different way than going into the MSD structures. Essentially very, very small pieces, small bites out of the whole water that we have to deal with into that pipe. So
When is the Millionaires Club ever unlocked?
that's a great question. I think only during rented events, Commissioner, but I'm not sure about that. I have to defer to Jenny and Dave on that. Jenny, do you know?
Ever?
Well, since we have had some issues with it, it hasn't been unlocked very often, but it should be, when it's working properly, it should be open from at least 7 a.m. to 3, if anything.
Got it.
During the season, April through October. But one thing that we were looking at as he is looking at all these sewer lines, when the season starts, I am gonna need to make sure there's portalets over there by the
Playground.
Yeah. Because the bandstand obviously is too far away to.
Got it.
That is on my schedule to do, but that won't probably happen until March when the season
Great.
is starting to turn.
Got it.
So for those three, we're putting together a package. The first thing you have to do to basically take those offline, is do a percolation test for the soil to see how to lay out the leach beds and all of that stuff for a septic system. We're doing those right now through a term contract. They have a revolving term contract for the city for geotechnical services. So we're packaging all three of those into one to get that information and then go out for very small design or in-house design. Usually that's a vendor supplied package, and then cite those with the Ohio EPA. That whole process takes about 6 months to do. So we can expect that those will all need to be, for this season, dealt with separately than they are right now with porta potties, as Jenny talked about. But in the long run, this will save us $600,000-$700,000 and ever having to come back to do this again. So I think it's well worth the wait, taking these offline and making it right.
Makes sense.
It really is the true deferred maintenance that Joel lends to, which is, you know, these pipes have been there forever and who knows how long they have been not working the way they're supposed to, as far as getting all of what they need to get to the sewer system, to the bigger pipes.
We've only been there 100 years. It's not been forever.
Very good point. Very good point.
My favorite Mark Fisher story is when he talks about when he got to the zoo, there was a 4-inch pipe that no one knew what it was doing, just running water as hard as it would run forever. And he started asking them about their water bills. Like, how much are you guys? Oh, we're paying astronomical amounts of water. And he figured out in like a couple of weeks how to shut this thing off, and it saved him, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, which he then put into everything else that he's doing for the last 20 years. But just amazing, in 5,500 acres, the things that, I mean, there's 17 different sets of bathrooms in some of these parks, and Mount Airy is crazy. The other thing that this does, gives us power, which is great. A lot of times you're beholden to the surrounding infrastructure for where you can put buildings and things like that. Buildings, maybe yes, but if we want to put a comfort station in the middle of nowhere now, we have the ability to do that independently of service, which is cool when you have 1,500 acre parks. So
Off the grid.
off the grid, that's, yes, ma'am, 100%. So I'm proud of those. It'll take 6 months, but we're fixing those deferred maintenance things as quickly as we can.
So am I understanding this correctly, that you're trying in Burnett Woods to separate out these combined lines?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
have stormwater lines and sewage
And
lines?
the stormwater I can retain on site, whereas when I had sewer before and all that water comes together, now MSD has to treat everything. Now I can say, I'm not treating any of this, and taking that 8-inch pipe offline completely and outletting it somewhere else with a riprap structure or inside of the park, erosion friendly, retaining areas within the park, and doing that incrementally. Every different part of the watershed that comes down and fills that bowl at the bottom is going to drastically reduce, our combined sewers.
Because you only have to treat the sanitary sewer. The stormwater, you can just retain on site, or you can bypass all the sanitary and put it right into the river.
Exactly.
That's correct.
Hallelujah.
Doing our part, they're gonna mandate this for everybody in the country, and it's coming, but I've been doing this because of my environmental background. I've saw this coming. When they started making covered dumpsters inside of big truck stops, because the water that filters through the dumpster water then becomes sanitary sewer leachate. You're like, okay, cover it, fix it, take it off the grid so that, sanitary sewer people only have to deal with the stuff they need to be treating, and we can retain our own water on site. So we had a great meeting. Jenny helped set up a couple meetings with MSD. We met, I believe, the beginning of this week, Jenny, and right before Christmas, just to talk about this whole problem as a whole site, talking to the folks that actually talk to the folks at UC that control their underground retention. How much do you bring to us? Is there opportunity on UC to not bring us so much? So we're working through all those problems, is from the MSD outlet end to the UC, bringing it into us, and you have to do it all together to figure out an iterative approach to fixing it.
Well, we represent 10% of Cincinnati's land area. So the more we can get out of MSD's.
The better.
domain,
Exactly. That's right.
Maybe so much that they will be happy to participate in some budget.
I think that certainly could be a possibility, bringing them incremental pieces like this that help them take big chunks of water off the grid. That's what we're trying to build a relationship with those folks to do.
It's incredibly complex, but if we can, when we pull this off and we're able to separate the sanitary and the storm sewer and retain that water, it gives us the opportunity, A, to just do good for the overall water system and sewer system of the city. But B, we could create some really cool natural elements in Burnett Woods where these retention ponds or some of the creeks or other things that we might develop through here could really add some real natural habitat and cool items. Like we all see over on Queen City Avenue where you've got Lick Run, which is just a world-class kind of model of how this can be done. Burnett Woods could be a microsite of that, and we're really excited for that. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be fun to knock it out.
Love it. Love it.
The Houck Botanic Gardens that you all voted on last month for our renovations, thank you very much, is going to happen in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We're ready for it. We need the office space. Alex and MJ are doing a great job getting all the documents out of the areas where we need to renovate. So it'll provide us more office space and an awesome place to work. So thank you all very much for that. Jason, tell me to shut up whenever you want, but I have one more update on the 471 bridge, as you guys can imagine. We've been doing a whole bunch of stuff on that. Our team has put together a pretty comprehensive options package to view 4 different areas where that playground could potentially get. We're really down to about 2 areas, and even one of those is shining through as likely the best, most feasible option. We're meeting individually with everybody that we found across the country. We've had 2 meetings already. Purchasing is involved, as this is under an emergency memo, such that we're making sure we're doing procedurally everything we can to expedite the process. We have 3 more meetings scheduled over the next 2 weeks approximately to meet with every playground vendor / contractor that we feel could do this well and, either within the time frame that we want it to or the best way possible for the whole city, either one or a combination of both. So still trying to feel out what's possible with some of these things, meeting with custom designers and things like that, and our trusted friends that do half of our playground stuff too, to give them a crack at it as well. So those meetings are going well, I would say, Jason. We will have a whole lot more updates for you all in February, I think, when it comes to decision-making on that. But it's moving forward fast. Anything else I should add to that?
Covers it. It's exciting stuff. I mean, really unfortunate what happened with the bridge and with the fire, and these people that said it, but it gives us a real opportunity to give a real refresh and bring something fantastic back to the park. And we're really excited and we're embracing it and we're running as fast as we can.
We're also trying to look at it not just for this year and bringing something back quick just for the sake of bringing it back, but looking at the whole park as a whole. Where does it make sense to have these recreational amenities as skating comes back to life? As we add more things in different parts, how do we best position these things so it makes the most sense for everybody moving forward for the next 20 to 30 years, not just the next 18 months? So commissioners, with that, I'm going to quit. Do you all have any questions for me on anything?
Just want to know, excuse me, are these lights on a rheostat?
Something's wrong with it.
I hate LED lights, hate them, because these blinking things just drive me nuts.
Yeah, I think they need a new.
Is it on a rheostat?
I mean, they're on a dimmer switch.
Dimmer, can we please lower it so they'll stop blinking? Driving me crazy.
Crystal, could you flip off the bottom 2? The bottom 2. Nope, not. I'm sorry, the bottom, the
Oh,
bottom of the up and down piece. My bad.
there we go. God
Yeah, there
bless
we
you.
go.
Thank you.
They weren't even necessary. Perfect. Any questions for Joel?
Thank you all.
Thank you, Joel.
Another thorough job.
Okay, great. I don't see Derek.
Derek's not here. That means it's a Civil Service Commission week.
Got it.
So he's down
Just having a good time.
the real part of his job. So I'll give a quick overview. Things are going great in HR. We've really done a great job of filling a bunch of spots. We currently have 157 full-time, 87 part-time, which is kind of the bottom of our part-time dip in the winter. We've got a lot of stuff happening in the hiring realm. Several people are getting kind of officially through civil service today. We also just had Andrew Bernier, who you met at our last meeting, he was supposed to start up the Monday of the snowstorm. So he got unfortunately to work from home and work with Crystal in the first 2 days of his journey with parks, but he's getting settled in and having a good time. We also have we're doing interviews for Hedda's team to add a senior accountant and an IT analyst to our team. We have 2 tests that are posted right now to go through the whole civil service system. One for the service crew leaders and one for the horticulturalists. So those are both proceeding. We're really excited, and you guys have heard a lot about the Arborist series and Crystal's efforts to change and elevate our tree crew leaders and our tree crew workers into lead arborists, arborist 1s and arborist 2s. It's been a long journey. to say the least. But that should be before council next Wednesday. So we're incredibly excited to finally be at the end of that journey. And then really get that going, and we'll have like 3 different tree crews that we'll have out in the field, and we're working on a whole new way to have them work together. So they're doing both our right of way trees and our forest trees. And so we have those teams working together to support each other. And just this week, or just the end of last week, they had the first meeting to talk about all of our part-time hiring for this year. And we're really excited to have 5 new positions that are getting posted and are out into the world, if not now, soon. And you can see those at the very bottom of page 23. That's the camp counselor / program position, customer service, front office cashier, events and audio, and then horticultural technician. And then lastly, the municipal worker position. Derek's team is working hard to get the Parks Academy rolling again. Parks Academy is like professional development and kind of other academy stuff that's not necessarily related to their job specifically, but is related to kind of like growing our employees as professionals and giving them other opportunities. And then the partner of that is the park safety program, and making sure we have all of our training scheduled and all of that. And Sherry Coddington on Derek's team has done a great job of reorganizing that. You always know it's a safety committee meeting at the admin building because there's all kinds of trucks with dirt on them and with tools on them and doing all kinds of stuff that flood the building. And so they've been meeting really regularly, and we're doing a great job. And in fact, we meet with the city's safety team, kind of city global, later this afternoon. And we have a once a year kind of check-in at the beginning of the season where they tell us things that they may have observed or new things in the safety world from their perspective. But then we also talk about all the work we're doing and if we have any special needs that they can help out with to help us kind of keep safety in the forefront. So really exciting stuff with all that. Onward and upward.
Let's see, we've got Jason, in-kind contributions.
So our friends from the foundation, once a quarter, we accept all of the wonderful things they've done for us throughout the last quarter. And so as you'll see here in this memo, there was about $91,000 worth of in-kind contributions last quarter. As you look at the following page on page 26, you'll see that most of the big items all relate to both 2 major tree programs. One is the fall relief program, where we give away over 1,000 trees to folks, hopefully most of them in our target neighborhoods where the tree canopy is low, but then we open it up to everybody. It's an awesome partnership with Mad Tree, and they continue to host us and have that be the head pickup spot, and give us a good excuse to go drink some beer while people pick up trees. And then the other program is the Let's Grow Local, which has been rebranded a couple times, but it is our annual effort to plant. I think it was over 200 trees this year. This year was in Avondale. In previous years, it was in Roselawn and Lower Price Hill. But this year was Avondale. It was an amazing program. They had hundreds of volunteers out, many of them from Mad Tree, but from some other organizations as well. I'm blanking on the name of it, but there is Cleveland Park, which is a recreation site in Avondale. That's kind of right at the end of the Wasson Way and is mostly just a giant field. There's some old trees on one corner of it, but it's just kind of a big open field. Crystal's team of foresters identified a ton of spots there, and we probably planted 50 or 60 trees just in that park alone that we might not see the shade of, but in 50 years, we're gonna be talking about how that's actually a park with a ton of shade trees on it. And so really exciting stuff. But a lot of other small stuff. They also, you'll see on here, they got us some Dewey's Pizza for our parks big all staff meeting, and just all kinds of great stuff that they did for us. So just thanks to our friends at the foundation and all that they do to help keep our staff happy and our volunteers happy and keep us working.
Perfect. Well, that's an outstanding contribution to the parks. Lots and lots and lots of trees. Motion to approve. A second?
Second.
We'll roll call.
President North,
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuxpanini,
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Nyder.
Yes.
Perfect. Jason, you're up.
So it has been an interesting 2 weeks in the parks. So I'm just going to lead with that. We had a tremendous snow event 2 weeks ago and we've had a couple of smaller ones since. That our team's just done an outstanding job of responding to. And we have only 4 kind of official truck drivers, 2 of them loan out to the Public Services Department to help clear the miles and miles of roads throughout the city. And then 2 of them are on our team. It really is staggering when you think about how many parking lots and access roads and actual roads. We have some roads that go through parks that are our responsibility that aren't just to get to a parking lot or a building, and they get all of those cleared. They make sure that we can get in safely, clear. I mean, just miles of sidewalks around parks, in parks, around, and we do the best we can to get to all those. And they've just done a really great job being out and about. I bumped into somebody the other day. I was actually here for the safety committee meeting. I was like, how's it been? I can't imagine how tough it's been. He's like, it's just different. Sometimes you're mowing grass, sometimes you're pushing snow. So they just embrace it and do just a fantastic job trying to get things as best they can. I was in a meeting yesterday with the director of public services, said, this is a top 7 snow event over the last 100 years in terms of the amount of snow we got. So just to get 10, 11, 12 inches like we did, it's just staggering. And I think we've done a pretty good job as a community and as a park system of addressing that. On a lighter note, the Crone Spring Show opens this Saturday. It's called Emerge and it runs through April 20th. Certainly it's great to be thinking about spring right now, and this is a great way to do it. They're going to have something just amazing like they always do. You can see we've got some turtles, some bunnies, just a bunch of fun flowers. So Crone, once again, awesome. Loblato Woods, we heard about all the volunteer stuff that Crystal's talking about, and some of the conservation work was a big piece of that pie. These are some recent pictures from Loblato where the Friends of Loblato Woods CPAC has been working to clear invasives. Just a huge amount of thanks to Judy Ganance, thank you. And everyone in the community has helped with the project. It's a great example of the volunteer powered work happening in so many parks. These pictures show it looking great in the winter. So it's going to be even better when it's springtime, right? MLK Day. So we always have a lot of volunteer activity for MLK Day. And the weather always tries to conspire to stop us from doing it. So we are monitoring that to see if we can pull it off. I think last year we had to cancel it because of the weather, and we're certainly worried about that again this year. We're going to have a couple of really warm days the next couple of days, which is going to melt a lot of the snow, and then it goes right back to freezing. And so we don't know what we're going to experience on MLK Day yet, but we've got projects in Avon Woods, including getting rid of invasive species, California Woods, French Park, Cora, our friends from the Cincinnati Outdoor Off-Road Alliance. They're doing trail work in Mount Airy. And then Lytle Park CPAC that we just heard about is our new CPAC this year. Has got some work planned. The OPRA conference. So in 2 weeks, about 10 of us are going to OPRA, where we're going to get another right between Kick and Molly is our first place award from 2 years ago, or last year. That was from last year, 2023, but we got it last year. And we're going to get another first place award this year, which is really exciting for the Conservation Stewards Program. And so we're taking a crew up, including Crystal, both Crystals, in fact. We're going to be heavy on our Crystal delegation. But we're going to go up and we're going to learn a lot about what others are doing, but we're also going to share what we're doing and brag about that and kind of help share with others. So we're really excited about that. You heard about the CPAC quarterly meeting. That's next Tuesday. It's going to be at Gibson House. We're really excited about that. They're going to learn about the annual events grants that our friends at the foundation do. We've got the Secret Lives of Stars coming out at the Wolf Planetarium at Trailside Nature Center. That's on Friday, January 24th. You're going to learn all about stars, dying stars, and lots of other cool aspects of outer space. What a cool graphic that is too. Right? That could be a movie, right? The Secret Life of Stars could be a movie, and that could be the poster. Crone Discovery Space craft events. We heard a lot about crafting today, which got me excited. But we've got another event coming up. Where these events begin January 29th. They're offered at Crone with help from Explore Nature staff, create fun nature-based programming for kids, embracing the theme of Emerge, which is the floral show. And then Maple Sugar and Time, Caldwell Nature Preserve on February 8th is doing a hands-on activities for participants to experience the art and traditions of tapping maple trees and seeing the evaporator in action. program also provides a history of Native American and pioneer traditions and the techniques for capturing, collecting, and cooking syrup. I was amazed the first time they let me taste the sap out of the tree. And there's just not a lot to it. It's just kind of slightly sweet water. And so what they do to turn it actually into maple syrup is pretty fantastic. So that'll be a great event. So lots going on, even though it's cold outside, we still got a lot happening throughout our parks. Exciting stuff.
Commissioners. What would you like to talk about today?
I think I've spoken enough.
Commissioner Nyer?
Thank you for allowing me to join electronically. I just want to rewind for a quick second and call out with appreciation the director for consciousness around career track. While it is rewarding to work in and around parks every day, there are still traditional career considerations, and being mindful of that helps us make this an optimal place to work as well as recreate. So I just wanted to, I appreciated your calling that out as a conscious ongoing effort, and the system will reap the rewards of that for generations to come. So thank you for keeping that top of mind.
Great. Well, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do we need a second that or anything? All right. The meeting is adjourned.
Have the power.
Hey.
Thank you, everybody.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You have a-
I think I must be